Systems are online. Welcome back, Jet.
What's going on, everybody? We got another banger for you today, so you better lock in and buckle up, bucko. And remember, this entire video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. These are just theories, not facts. With that being said, slap that like and subscribe button like it owes you money, and let's dive in. Hold on. Why is our psychology professor showing us how to get out of a straitjacket? I feel like we might need this skill, y'all. You know how them babies be wrapped up super tight, you know what I'm saying, they can't move. This is how I imagine them getting out of their wraps. He should have added some sound effects. That would have made it more. He did a great job, but me personally, I would have added some sound effects. I mean, he's got the look. He's definitely got the look there. You know, we just need a little bit more sound effects next time.
According to the chronovisor, this is what really happened to the Titanic. Now, they wanted us to believe that the Titanic had hit an iceberg. But according to this chronovisor, you see the Titanic being attacked by some type of octopus type creature. Hey, look at this. Now, for those that don't know what a chronovisor is, it's a machine in the Vatican basement that can see the Earth's past, future, and present through electromagnetic waves. Look at this.
So you mean to tell me none of the surviving passengers didn't mention nothing about a giant kraken, a giant Cthulhu, you know, with, what was his name? Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, and he's on the he's on the edge like this, you know what I'm saying? They weren't worried once about a kraken coming over and slapping the hull? What's that thing that they do with the timeline? The Mandela effect, man. We got Mandela'd up, man. It really was a giant Cthulhu that was on the Titanic. No iceberg.
Everything on Earth that's an object has a north and a south pole. There are some things that have a neutral polarity. For one, we have an electromagnetic field that goes around our body. Everybody does. That electromagnetic field works as a carrier wave. So if you focus on an object, your attention is on that object. And when you're dowsing, if that's something, if it's there, you'll pick it up. But if your attention is someplace else, while you're dowsing over here, you won't detect it. So I'm going to put my attention on that magnet, and then I'm going to sweep by. It takes a little bit, but I've got to keep my attention on it.
I've seen this before where they're able to find water like this, believe it or not.
It's repelling it. As you can see, now it wouldn't repel at that distance, except it's piggybacking the aura, the electromagnetic aura around my body, and it follows my thoughts. So if I was to do this and put my attention over there on that bag, it wouldn't matter how many times at this distance that I did that, it wouldn't pick it up. But if I put my attention on that magnet, then it'll hit that field, and you can see it's twisting it around, it's repelling it. So I'm going to do a different antenna. This is a South Pole antenna. Sometimes if your two arms come together, it creates another force field and your antenna doesn't work right. So I have an insulated tube here and I just hold it against this. See, as it hits that south pole. Now I'm going to put my attention on the other side of the magnet, on the back side.
Okay.
And I'm going to put it there for a minute. It won't repel. Because the backside of that magnet is North Pole. Now I'm going to put a North Polarity magnet. Now I'm going to put my attention on the back. Give it a little bit more time. Now it's repelling. Because north repels north. Now, if I put my attention on the front part of the magnet, which is South Pole, and this is North Pole, attraction doesn't have near the power that repulsion does in dowsing. Doesn't. So that's basically the basis of dowsing. And what happens in dowsing, okay, so you have, let's say you're dowsing for silver. Silver has a left-hand spin. Its nuclear spin is left, or what they call down spin or left-hand spin. It's South Pole. Its dominant polarity is south. This is pure cotton. Cotton pulls north polarity from the ethers. Cotton, especially white cotton, is north polarity. This is pure sheep wool. Sheep wool is south polarity. It pulls that from the ethers. It was very important to the ancient people whether they wore cotton or whether they wore wool. It's forbidden for anybody to wear a mixture of cotton and wool except the priests.
Really?
Oh yeah, that was in the works of Flavius Josephus.
Huh.
And there's a reason for that and what it does to your brain. And it's my most used antenna because if you got a polarity problem on a target, you need a neutral antenna. And it's basically, a bamboo is about the best thing you can get for a neutral antenna.
Huh.
Most things they have one polarity dominant or the other. This is a little plastic PVC pipe, so it was South Pole. So what I did is I stuffed it full of silk, because silk is neutral. And then I wrapped it with silk. And so it's a neutral antenna to overcome the polarity, the south polarity that was in it. But everything on Earth that's an object has a north and a south pole. There are some things that have...
This is incredibly interesting, especially when you start thinking about torus fields and us being electric beings. He also describes stuff coming from the ether, and if you have a geocentric mind frame, you know, talking about the different poles and everything, that is interesting. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
I sent his mom a portion of the manuscript at one point. They were on vacation in a hotel room, and Cody's in another part of the room, and Glory, his mom, is reading the book, and as she's reading, Cody suddenly speaks up and says, Elisha, Elisha. She thinks, that's strange. You know, why would he say that? Goes back to the book, and the next thing in the book is I'm writing about, I'm addressing the question for people who I'm trying to help along, who are asking questions about this. Is it biblical? Okay, angels appear all the time. They come with messages, and sometimes you have one person who could see them and another who can't. And I'm telling the story of Elisha and his servant, and they're in the city of Dothan, and the servant is freaking out because the enemy troops are there. Elisha says, Lord, you know, open his eyes. There's many more with us than them. Open his eyes, let him see. And the servant sees the hillside is covered with angelic beings, chariots of fire. That was the very next thing that she read. And she went, oh my goodness. And he just said Elisha. So the next spelling session, she asked him, why did you say Elisha? And he said, Jesus told me that you were reading about Elisha and angels, and I want you to know that I really do see angels. So these things happen all the time. I was spelling with another young man and his mom on a Zoom call, and toward the end of it, he started spelling something, and his mother said to me, Joe, he wants to say this to you. Jesus is telling him that you're supposed to train pastors and ministers on how to understand this. I've been around this a long time, over 4 decades. Plenty of Holy Spirit moments, overpowering presence of God. The night I got saved in 1978, I was by myself in a room. The presence of God came in so strong, I couldn't get up off the floor. I mean, I've seen a number of things. I've never had a Jesus said. And I went home that night and I was, just praying, and I thought, Lord, was that actually you? And his mom emailed me a little after that and said, he said to tell you, yes, it was. And so this is the world that I'm in now. These are not just ordinary, people can know things like that. They are aware of things. I sent his mom a portion of the manuscript at one point.
Interesting.
Science agrees that everything in the universe comes from one energy source. Some call it universal energy, some call it life force energy, some of us, for the lack of a better name, just call it God. They also agree that everything in the universe is nothing more than electromagnetic energy. The birds, the bees, the grass, the trees, and you and I are nothing more than a series of energy systems put together in a very interesting form. In this world, we call it matter. Would you be kind enough to take your watch off? I collect watches. Okay. Thank you. Would you take your glasses off? I won't ask you to take anything else off. Okay. The thymus gland is your immune system. Any energy that impacts his thymus gland in a positive way will allow him to lock his motor muscles. A motor muscle is any joint muscle. If it affects him in a negative way, he will be unable to lock that motor muscle. Show me your strength. I'm just going to take 2 fingers, pull down, and you don't mess with John. Okay, hang on to that, John. Okay, once again, show me your strength, John. And he's one tough cookie, and he's really struggling too. That was 2 fingers. Almost thought I was going to have to use 3 for a minute. This is a battery-operated watch. There's a logical explanation. You could see this one coming, couldn't you? Emitting 1 electrical pulse per second, going directly into his electrical system and short-circuiting his electrical system. And every minute he wears this, it lowers his immune system, makes him more susceptible to colds, the sniffles, and whatever else follows that. Let's just lay that back there. And I'm going to ask you to step back for just a moment. Okay. And Zelda's turn. Do you have a watch?
Yes.
Oh, that completes my collection. Okay, show me your strength. You're in good shape. And may I have her glasses? Would you be kind enough to put your glasses on? Again, show me your strength. Now, there's a logical explanation to this, too. We're electromagnetic beings, are we not? Energy's coming out of our head into this big ball of energy out here, going back and forth. Energy's coming out of the side of Zelda's head, finding the path of least resistance called metal. Comes around to the other side, has no place to go. Now, the interesting thing about electricity is it wants to complete a circuit. And if it can find a pathway, it will do so. You just happen to be a good conductor of electricity. Interestingly, if you took a metal chain, came around to the side, that energy would simply chase in the necklace effect and she would test strong. So if you had plastic glasses, which you would test okay, and then put a metal chain, you've just created the same thing all over again. And for you gals that have pop-on bracelets, is it your desire to have your watches and glasses made safe for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good choice. It makes no difference whether your watches and glasses are here, at home in the dresser drawer, or on another planet, because thought goes instantly anywhere in creation. Be kind enough to repeat this proclamation with me. It is my desire, from the divine love that flows within my being.
Okay, it feels like he's selling something. Like there's, I get what's going on here because somebody made me do that experiment too. They made me put my hand out, and then it was like, all right, drop it. And then he was able to put my hand down easily. But when I was able to go ahead and put my hand forward and just think to myself, okay, don't drop my hand, I was able to keep it out. So that's what I was trying to figure out here as they finish this incantation.
Would you hold your watch in your hand? You have your glasses on. You got yours on. That's fine. Put your arm up. Give it all you got, kiddo, because I am. Don't go away. Whoa. Put it up, big guy. I cannot budge him. Now, you're a tough guy to begin with, but you're aware that at the end, with having these on, you were stronger than you were without having them on at all. And why would that be? What did we ask them to become?
Unconditional love.
The highest frequency of unconditional love. It doesn't get any better than that. Because I know both of you guys stand up before a mirror in the morning and you say, I am divine. And then you go out here on the freeway, the traffic cuts you off and you go, rah, 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 rah. So this is kind of how we go through our day. These simply are like a highly tuned crystal that will hold them more stable throughout the day. Science agrees that everything in the universe comes from one.
Most people have heard the name DARPA before, but they really don't understand what it is. They think it's some government research department, but it's not. DARPA is the quiet machine behind almost every major technology that now controls society. These are not just scientists. These are military engineers. They're building the future before the public even knows it exists. They don't wait for the world to change. They design it. Then they roll it out piece by piece until people think it happened naturally. The internet didn't start with Silicon Valley. It started with DARPA. GPS, DARPA. Drones, DARPA. Voice assistants and facial recognition, DARPA research. Even social media didn't appear by accident. DARPA ran a program called LifeLog, designed to track a person's relationships, their conversations, emotions, and daily behavior. Does that sound familiar? That program had ended in 2004, the exact same day Facebook launched. They didn't shut it down. They rebranded it and made people sign up for it willingly. The newer projects are even more disturbing because they've moved from controlling information to targeting human mind. Programs like N3 and subnets are influencing brain activity. They call it neurotechnology for defense. But what does that really mean? It means creating technology that can read signals from the brain and send signals back. That means influence. That means behavior control. That means taking away the last place a person is truly free, their own mind. People think transhumanism is some far off concept, but DARPA is already doing it. They fund brain implants, artificial memory, synthetic biology, genetically modified soldiers, emotion controlling programs, and human AI integration. They don't hide their goals. They say it openly. They want seamless communication between the human brain and digital systems. In other words, merge people with the machine. When you step back and look at everything together, you realize that DARPA isn't just building tools. They're building the operation system for human life. A world where thoughts are data, behavior is programmable, and freedom isn't taken by force. It's designed out of the system. That's DARPA. Most people have heard the name DARPA.
I gotta be honest, I haven't heard anything from DARPA in a while. So the fact that she's saying that adds up a little bit. What exactly is DARPA working on right now?
Demons play the character of you in this simulation like you play the character of... Demons play the character of you in this simulation like you play the character of Mario in his world. It's the same exact thing. You know how you put on a headset to go into a different reality? You are the headset demons are putting on from a higher dimension to come into our lower dimension. Just like you are a higher dimensional being playing Mario as a lower dimensional being. You're going from 3D down to 2D, and demons are coming down from 4D to 3D to play you. I had concepts of this before, but it didn't really click until I watched a video from Dead Hidden recently. Go watch that video. It's absolutely mind-blowing. If you don't know which video it is, good, watch all of his videos. But just like you sign into a game and you look down and you have virtual hands, you are that body for those spirits in this game. God plays you the same way. It's like God is the player, faith is the connection, and you are Mario. It's fully him and also fully you going through it. Not 50-50, but 100% him playing and 100% you going through it. If faith is your connection to God, there is a second player trying to hijack you in the game, and that connection to them is through sin. And so you can think of yourself in a game as like Mario, but it's a 3D game being played by 4D players. And there are a bunch of players trying to log on to your connection. And you have a port, which is your spirit. You don't have a soul, you are a soul. Your soul has a body to interface with this physical world, this game, a character, an avatar to play in this game. But it also has a spirit, which is like a wireless Bluetooth connection to a controller. And if you have faith, that controllers connect to God. And every time you sin, you're like breaking that connection to God's controller and pushing it off to all the other bad actors trying to play you. That is why sin gives demons control in your life. And that is why faith breaks their control and gives it back to God. Why would demons want to do this? Why would they go from a 4D reality down to a 3D simulation? For the same reason you play video games. You play video games to escape reality because you perceive that your reality sucks. And so you're going down to this other reality where you can do things that you can't do in this life. The Bible says demons wander in a dry place. They're miserable. They hate to wander around in their world, stuck between the physical and the spiritual realms. And so they would much rather attach to your body and play this life like a video game. It's escapism. A video game's not even as good as real life, and yet people immerse their lives in it. You can think of demons as video game junkies, but the game they are playing is this game, and the character they're playing is you. The Bible describes them as disembodied spirits who want to attach to the flesh, or 4D spiritual beings that want to play the 3D physical video game of this world, with, of course, you as the character, and sin is their connection to you. Demons play the character of you in this simulation like you play the character of Mario in his world.
That is an excellent correlation. Man, it's like video game possession is what basically demons are. How crazy is that?
What you're about to see through this telescope does not make sense according to the official narrative of what the sun is supposed to be. Now, you know there's a lot of people who think the Earth is a different shape than they tell us. A lot of other people think the Earth is a different age than they tell us. If either of those two things are true, we should also question what we know about the sun, because many ancient cultures believed the sun to be something very different than a ball of gas and fire. So this guy zooms in on the sun with a camera with a whole bunch of lenses on it. And you tell me, for one, if his telescope is able to zoom this close up to something that's supposed to be 93 million miles away. And secondly, many people also believe that the Earth is conscious, right? That the Earth is microcosm, macrocosm. We are conscious, we have a consciousness, that the Earth has its own consciousness. My question then is the sun an inanimate ball of fire? Or if the Earth is conscious, why would the sun be unconscious and an inanimate ball of fire, gas floating around billions of years old? But hold on though. What did the ancient cultures that built things we cannot even build today anymore and used ancient science and technology and frequency and energy and vibration, and they all knew about this stuff, what did they think about the sun? Oh, no big deal. That it is 100% conscious, living deity, personifying it through gods. This animistic belief system considered the sun along with other celestial bodies to be intelligent and alive. Now, this has been abandoned by modern science, but isn't that the same modern science that says you should be drinking fluoride and eating GMOs and that your pineal gland is just to regulate hormones? Here are some questions I have. Now, if you want to see a full-blown video on the sun being a conscious entity and it not being an inanimate ball of fire, comment for part 2 and follow for more.
All right, let's get this popped off. I'm sorry to bring you down another one of my rabbit holes, but... oh, I got they ass now. This is a Dark Tonalis gun. Made by some guy by the name of Munir, whatever, of the Ottoman Empire. Look at the year this was made. $1464. Look at the construction of that. Y'all know the size factory, the size smelting warehouse we need now to make something of this caliber, correct? So, if you see the size of used by the Ottoman Empire, do you have any idea how long ago that was? Look, the war, Dardanelles operation. Let's just keep Just keep looking at this. The mass, 37,000 pounds in 1464 with no diesel trucks, or how in the are you transporting this?
It's an excellent question. How are they transporting it? I remember seeing these in, what was that game? Age of Empires? The Ottomans.
Can they understand the inner monologue, the things you're saying to yourself in your own mind? Mind you, by the way, when you dream, like your visual cortex runs in reverse, so your dreams are no longer safe. But we'll try this. So they had people watch a video and just narrate what was going on in the video in their mind. So there's a woman, she gets hit in the back, she falls over. This is what the computer reconstructed the person thinking. See a girl, looks just like me, get hit in the back, and then she is knocked off. So our thoughts, are starting to be decoded. Can they understand?
Yeah, that tinfoil hat doesn't seem that funny anymore. I'm telling you guys, I might start rocking one, or a copper crown at least.
Can you imagine what the world would have looked like if they never destroyed the buildings? And can you imagine if there was no reset and they never rewrote history? A world with free energy and natural resources for everyone. The architecture would be grand, with beautiful statues and amazing structures everywhere, with buildings so big it made the people look like ants, and everybody would be living in unity as one. So many of these buildings had to be knocked down, because if they were still around today, it would be impossible for them to hide the truth. The buildings we make today cannot be compared to the buildings of the previous civilizations. The architecture was simply magnificent. So much of our history has been erased or hidden. But the day is coming when everyone will know the truth. Can you imagine?
I mean, we kind of get a glimpse of it now with all the old architecture. It's kind of hard for them to hide it all, to be honest. So I can't imagine. Well, this is kind of tough, but I can't imagine it.
Oh, Dell just said it all.
Look, that's you.
Yeah.
Oh!
What is that? That's Gatorade powder.
That's Gatorade powder, dude.
Oh, that's why I don't drink that.
Oh, yeah, baby. They got a whole bunch of it.
Oh, Dell just said it all.
There's no way. We gotta test that and see.
Gargoyles. This is a topic I've been meaning to get to for a long time now. I get asked about these creatures pretty regularly on my channel. I hesitate to say creatures for a good reason. A lot of people's idea of what a gargoyle is honestly comes from this popular Disney cartoon, Impossible, this TV movie from 1972. First, you'll notice actual gargoyles don't really look anything like those winged large demons that you see popularly, and even things like gargoyle Halloween decorations, as you can see here. Gargoyle is literally just a term for a carved or formed grotesque with a spout designed to convey water from a roof and away from the side of a building. Basically, this to prevent water damage, an architectural feature. Now, grotesque is the name for these carved figures that look like mythical monsters, chimeras, sometimes something demonic even. But as you can see again here, the real ones don't really look anything like the popular winged interpretation. They are, however, often described as being used to ward off evil. Similar to ancient ideas of apotropate magic, objects or symbols meant to turn away evil power, evil influence. These were never believed to be any kind of real creature, not even in supernatural occult circles.
Hey, stop that. Go on, get. You feisty little booger.
Young Moose is not a fan of Halloween decorations. And of course you can see Mom back there standing by. I thought that thing was a horse at first, but no, that's a moose. I wonder where they're at. Alright guys, it's that time of the day again. If you thought I wasn't going to give you an excellent specimen today, think again.
This rare and highly collectible Michigan mineral contains a colorful combination of copper, epidized basalt, terminated quartz crystals, and silver, a secondary mineral. This rare and highly collectible Michigan mineral contains a colorful combination of copper, epidized basalt.
Wow, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. Who knew Michigan had crazy looking minerals like this? The copper going into the quartz. We're getting a little bit better at identifying this. Guys, what would your name be for this? I would call this the healthy nugget.
Luke chapter 4 verse 24 says, "Truly I tell you, no prophet is accepted in his hometown." And you see it play out every day. Strangers will clap for you louder than the people who grew up with you. The ones who knew you as a kid struggle to respect who you've become. Why? Because familiarity blinds people. They can't see your anointing, your calling, your growth. All they see is who you used to be. And sometimes God allows that, so you do not get comfortable seeking validation in the wrong places. Even Jesus wasn't honored in his hometown. So if the Son of God wasn't accepted by his own people, why are you shocked when your family, your city, your old friends don't clap for you? That's not a reflection of your worth. That's confirmation of your assignment. Sometimes God has to remove you from the environment that minimizes you, so he can place you where people recognize the gift in you. So stop begging for hometown validation. Stop crying over family and old friends that don't support you, because the same ones who doubted you will watch you from a distance while God elevates you beyond that city, okay? Beyond the city limits. When the oil on your life is real, you don't need applause where you came from. God will make sure you are accepted where you're going.
That's powerful. Yeah, a lot of family and friends and people from my hometown don't really support me, but I believe, what was the show called, where the girl was trying to become a princess. Well, anyway, her aunt was the queen or whatever, and then she's training her to be the queen. I forget the name of the show, but she said something. She was like, just because one mosquito hits the car, is that going to let you stop driving?
People look at me crazy when I park too far away from the gas pump, but you want to know why? When you don't fully extend the hose out, this is how much gas you leave inside the hose when you park too close. Now let that thought sit and bake for a bit. Every drop counts.
We actually watched them over on Jet Ski Chuck channel. We watched somebody, instead of doing the fast release, someone did the slow release, because it was nothing but foam when you do it fast, but when you do it slower, more liquid comes out. So you're actually getting more gas when you pump it slowly. A lot of you in the comments agreed and said that haste leaves waste, or haste makes waste, one of those. But that's a good quote.
You want some immediate shifts in your gut microbiome health? I want you to start paying attention to this number right here in the grocery store. You'll begin to notice the lower the number, the more real estate space on the shelves. The higher the number, the less real estate space on the shelf. This is also going to usually correlate to ingredients. As you can see, there is no high fructose corn syrup in this one. But this one, there is high fructose corn syrup. So look into what it does to your gut health. So this entire shelf is owned by one brand, and that's 12.2. This number is going to help us understand one of two things. So for instance, price per ounce of food. $9.94 is priced at 62.1 cents per ounce, or $10 worth of food priced at 16.1 cents per ounce. We know which one's not good for us. Healthier food does cost more, and this number's not foolproof. As you can see, not very nutritious. It's 61.3 cents per ounce of food. So you can see this company in the bar aisle has everything. They're at 33.5. This one owns the top shoppable half. They're at 52.7. And this one near the top, small real estate space, 99. So now let's go into level 2. If we're to take a 99 and compare it with a 33, we find ourselves getting more ingredients here, less ingredients here, but we have a bioengineered food ingredient in this one, and we have non-bioengineered food ingredients in this one. So do you see 9.9 cents? You'll start to notice contains bioengineered food ingredients. You come across 28.7, and you do not see bioengineered food ingredients. So these large corporations can cut corners and decrease costs based on using
Rouse does taste good. The pizza sauce?
ingredients that are highly sensitive, like high fructose corn syrup. I saw some people reading their ingredients. You have to pay attention because some of them are per each instead of ounce. But when in doubt, flip it around, look at the ingredients. You'll start to notice that they repeat themselves in almost everything, such as Hawaiian barbecue style, having high fructose corn syrup as its main ingredient. And yes, pickles, those are no different. High fructose corn syrup, and also sucralose. We don't consume that. Come across Hershey syrup. We see its main ingredient is high fructose corn syrup. Then we come across the entire Coke, Pepsi, and soda product aisle and realize one thing. Every main ingredient's high fructose corn syrup. So think right foods, right place, wrong foods, wrong place. Let's show you the right foods. Here's all of your options of rice. Way too many. If you're eating on a budget, you'd think, okay, this goes against what he told me. Low unit price not good for us, right? In reality, yeah, you don't want these ingredients on your rice. Everybody knows about this one specifically. So I'd be picking up our jasmine rice right here. Just jasmine rice. That right there, thumbs up. Good choice, can't go wrong. This is where it starts to shift. So when you look at your pinto beans, right, single ingredient. Traces of soy, but not the end of the world. This is 1,000,000 times better than a bag of chips. You want some immediate shifts in your gut microbiome health? I want you to start paying attention to this number right here in the grocery store.
That is crazy. Shout out to Joshua for putting us on game.
Just watch this video. If you ever go grocery shopping and you see the shelves where there, just watch this video. If you ever go grocery shopping and you see the shelves where there is a ton of different types of rice, here's what you do. Coconut and rice should be 2 ingredients. You should always doubt that, flip it about and ask yourself, why are they adding sugar? Why is it bioengineered? And why do they add oil? Now you see step 1 to eating healthier. Here's how you find the alternative. Jasmine rice, 1 ingredient. Coconut oil, 1 ingredient. Let's say you're a lover of carbohydrates and you want some bread. There's a lot of them, isn't there? Becomes the same concept. When in doubt, flip it about. What's all that? What I want you to specifically understand with bread is if you make this yourself, you're not using these ingredients, but they're always going to add a sugar, they're always going to add a oil, and then they're going to use a cornstarch again and then salt. You will see a sugar, you will see an oil, and you will see a salt. That is hyperpalatability. Cigarette companies a long time ago knew that this is how they addict you. So you thought cigarettes shortened your lifespan. What do you think food does? That's the only concept I want you to understand. An entire grocery store of things that we're supposed to put in our mouth. 1 total gram of sugar, 0 total grams of juice. Remember, it says strawberry and kiwi. Where's your strawberry and kiwi? You don't see it at all. Now, the general rule of thumb for anyone is just eat single ingredient foods. Look at the list. This is lemon, but when you really look at it, this is not lemon. There's lemon juice and lemon oil and preservatives. We live in a world where the companies partner up with each other. And we're going against decades and decades and decades and decades and decades of predictive programming. Anybody who grew up in the 1990s had these. But all the kids that grew up in the 1990s never understood high fructose corn syrup and all of the colors. And then when we get older, we start to understand the high fructose corn syrup and the colors. Then you start to realize, why does this company and all companies...
High fructose is in everything, isn't it? It's like you can't avoid it.
Have the high fructose corn syrup and the color. If you want to eat healthy, you need to reduce the ingredients. You should be looking at this and thinking this is not food because it's marketed for a holiday. And only your large corporations can participate in this game. And right here is exactly why. So when in doubt, flip it about, read the ingredients list, and ask yourself, if I were to make a muffin, would I be putting all of this and these colors in the muffin? No, you wouldn't. Nobody would. So remember, next time you go grocery shopping, when in doubt, flip it about, look at the back. There's your sugar, there's your vegetable oil, there's your salt. But more importantly, they're designed to addict you. And you can see products all right next to each other. This one's right next door. These are both breakfast items. You're gonna see this same exact stuff. Soybean oil, sugar, oil.
You know what I just realized? They are on some Breaking Bad stuff. You know that show Breaking Bad? Like, they have actual chemists that they probably pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to engineer this food to taste as addicting as possible. You know, I've been eating kind of crazy. I've been in a funk, you know, and I gained probably 10, 20 pounds. It is exactly what we eat. We have to eat better, especially me. I have to eat better myself. I don't get enough sunlight. One of you guys in the comments was like, Chuck, man, you're not getting enough blue sunlight. And I'm like, you're right. I do need to go outside more and just get the sun on me, man, because
This is how they hide the UFOs in the mountains and the secret test facilities. I believe this is a clear representation of that. Look at this. In a remote area, you would never guess that this is probably what they're doing. What y'all think?
that or out in the oceans.
And that's the point. For people to not know what's real or not anymore. It feels like we live in a gamified reality, doesn't it? And that's why some people look like they completely lost their minds, like they lost the plot. So we are all confused.
Oxygen levels. Oxygen levels are at maximum.
Set a course to dark waters now.
You see the UFO right here? This actually came off of NASA's product. I worked a picture. You can see it right here. You can see it right here. You can see it as it came down. And it came down just like that. Again, it's like a light ship. And then a UFO showed up. It's right there. It happened. It happened.
Interesting. It's almost like the blue light is connected to it. Like this UFO, this black image is like projecting something above it. But what exactly is it doing?
If you have 2 X's and 2 M's on the palm of your hand, stop scrolling. Dolores Cannon said this combination doesn't happen by accident. She said souls with double marks came here on a double mission. On one hand, for healing the self, and on the other hand, for awakening others. The X mark represents extreme intuition, and the M mark represents mastery of the mind. 2 X's and 2 M's mean your DNA carries both the teacher and the transformer code. The matrix can't control you because you operate on awareness plus action. You see through illusions and you can bend them. If you are one of the few with these marks, you were sent here to remind the world what it really is. Dolores Cannon said these souls arrived during the great shifts, like 2025.
So it's basically if you have that M, you took the red pill.
Why is not a single person talking about the fact that on Epstein Island there is a temple used to worship Moloch? Out of all the demons in existence, this is the most disgusting one by a landslide. More people need to be aware of this because this is what's really happening behind closed doors, not some Ryan Garcia publicity stunt crap. This is what's actually happening. Moloch is the demon that specializes in and this is what these elites are all worshiping. They've been flying out to this island, getting together with their parties, going inside of this temple and performing rituals involved in what I just explained. By the way, guys, this is the exact same thing that's being worshipped during the red heifer rituals. Moloch is the demon of the cow or bull. That's the image it represents. And I want you guys to really understand this. People in Israel have been worshiping Moloch forever. It's talked about even in Leviticus 18:21. Let me clarify. It has been happening happening so long that it is even mentioned in the Bible, and the Bible tells us not to sacrifice or give to Moloch. This is how common it is and how long it's been happening. The whole Epstein files, Epstein list thing, it will always come back to this, and you guys can maybe not believe me now, but you are my witness on this. Once the rest of these files come out, it is all going to relate back to that temple and worship for Moloch.
Someone said this is why there's a bull in front of the financial district in New York. Not for the markets, BS, but symbolic for Moloch. Oh yeah? Let's find it. Let's type it in and see what comes up. Wow, there it is. I did not know that there was this giant bull there.
So we ran across a video of an ex-witch talking about different things that are actually demonic. Check out some of the things that she said.
Things that are actually demonic from an ex-witch. I see a lot of scaremongering going on in Christianity about so many things being demonic that in my opinion really are not. So as always, from my perspective, my opinion and my life, I'm going to tell you exactly what led me into witchcraft and what you need to stay away from. And believe me, some of these things you'd have no idea about. Absolutely anything that tries to tell your future. Anything. Even if something as stupid as those little 8 balls. Me personally, I started really understanding my gift of future by using tools like playing cards and things like that. If you come across something that tries to tell you what your future is, that is not of God. And actually it's on a mission to deter you from God's plan. Alcohol, the biggest one, without a doubt, alcohol. There is a demon named alcohol. This demon talks about the absence of the soul, removing the soul from the body, and then allowing a demon to inhabit the body. Every single time in my past that I had a drink, I would be spiritually attacked to the next level. And even my friends as well, you know, if you have a hangover, it's more than just a hangover, isn't it? You literally want to exit the earth. Alcohol is without a doubt one of the most demonic things on the planet. Could also argue that's why a lot of it is called spirit. Wine I feel slightly different about, obviously, is mentioned in the Bible quite a lot. Anything that leads you to intoxication or that you are not in control of your own body, demonic. This goes for a lot of medications as well. I'm not going to speak too deeply on that because, you know, free speech and all. Anything that makes you feel like you are not in control of your own body, demonic doorway. Forms of thought control, and you'll be surprised at this. Absolutely anything or anyone that tries to prevent you from thinking, asking questions, delving into things. The people in charge at the moment, if you catch my drift. The process of cognitive thinking was God-given for a reason. Absolutely anything that tries to stop you thinking or having your own mindset is completely and utterly demonic. That's where cults come from, because everybody has to have the same belief system. You'll notice this is why I go absolutely ham on specific Christians that don't let people ask questions about anything demonic. This one's going to ruffle some feathers, but the generalised school system. I don't need to go into too much detail there, do I? I'm just going to say one word: indoctrination. And also it is a system that completely eradicates actual God gifts and instead breaks and moulds children to become part of a society that we know is functioning from the demonic. Absolutely any film whatsoever that talks about exorcism. When you watch a film that involves any form of demonic inhabitation or exorcism, you are watching that in real time. All you have to do really is look at the history of what happened to the cast of The Exorcist. These sort of movies are not just movies, they are literally playing out the demonic in front of your face. And it absolutely can invoke things into your home, which is why a lot of things happen after watching these.
What happened to the cast of The Exorcist? We might have to look that up after this.
Sort of film. For me, there is a huge difference between a horror fantasy and actual real life exorcism. Gossip, without a doubt, gossip is one of the most demonic things on the planet. And it is all kick-started from a demon, and it grows and becomes gang stalking. Get yourself away from any kind of position of gossip. Particular music festivals can be harvesting of energy. Travis Scott's one was a perfect example. Any kind of themes of dark, low red light, you already know. Low vibrational tones, demonic tones. Any kind of music that uses repetition, because this is what witchcraft is, it's repetition. I know a lot of people say this song's demonic. No, you need to pay attention to where something repeats. The same word, the same ideology, the same behaviour. You need to look for the repetition. Obviously, tarot cards, witchcraft, spells, Ouija boards, massive ones. All of these things give a direct gateway to demons. Arguing and fighting, huge gateway. So when I say to you that something isn't demonic, I'm not saying that it's good. Pay attention to how something makes you feel. That is the core under everything. How does it make you feel?
Could wine and alcohol be different? Is that why wine and spirits are separate? Also, we're supposed to look up, what was that movie called? That what happened to the cast of The Exorcist? I never am too huge of a fan for scary movies. I'm gonna be honest. I think the only scary movies I've seen was 13 Ghosts when I was younger. I haven't even seen the Freddy Cougars. I haven't seen the Chuckies, the Jasons, like any type of scary movie. It's not just because I'm scared, it's like I'm just haven't been interested my entire life. I grew up watching a lot of documentaries, you know, Titan Boa, that type of stuff. Shark Week, you know, I love that stuff. Again, I'm not against scary or horror movies. I just personally never really been interested in them. Now, let's see what's going on with the cast of The Exorcist.
The movie The Exorcist is cursed in real life, and the stories of deaths, weird supernatural occurrences, and other strange things that happen to the cast and crew will shock you. Get ready, this is a disturbing story. So if you somehow don't know The Exorcist, it's a horror movie that was released in 1973, and it was extremely controversial. I'm talking about people who were going to just see the movie were claiming that the theaters were haunted, the films were haunted. Actress Linda Blair even had to have bodyguards for 6 months after the film's release because people were sending her death threats. Yeah, they thought she was actually possessed. But now let's talk about the actual curse. This is actress Ellen Burstyn, who plays the possessed girl Regan's mom in the film. In one scene of the film, she's thrown from the bed by her possessed daughter. And in this stunt, she actually landed improperly. It was just set up wrong, and she ended up injuring her spine permanently. And the scream from this life-changing injury that she sustained is actually kept in the film. The pain, you can hear it. Then you have the deaths. This is actor Jack McGowan, and he played an alcoholic director who was Regan's first victim in the film. The Exorcist would end up being his last movie. Right after completing the filming for his role in The Exorcist, he contracted the only afterwards. Actress Linda Blair and Max von Sydow, who played the father in the film, also lost family members during production of the movie. And Jason Miller, who played the other father in the film, actually had a very strange experience during production as well. Apparently, he was on lunch break reading some lines for his next scene when a Jesuit priest walked up to him and handed him a gold medallion. And this priest basically told him that he should rebuke the devil and find God. Members of the production crew also claimed that the set itself was haunted. Even the author of The Exorcist, William Peter Blatty, said that he saw a phone lift up off of its hook and fall to the ground multiple times. This happened right next to him. Objects would move around by themselves, lights would turn on and off, but that doesn't even include the fire. So because the cast and crew felt like the set was haunted, they actually consulted their religious technical advisor, a man named Thomas Birmingham, and they asked him to do an exorcism on the set of the film. Now, Thomas said he wouldn't because he didn't want to freak out the rest of the cast and crew and play into superstition, but the following day, after they asked him to exorcise the set, the entire set burned to the ground after a bird flew into an electrical box and ignited a fire. But miraculously, the one room that survived on the entire set, which was practically untouched, was the room where the exorcism takes place in the movie. But the curse of The Exorcist goes on and even touches other movies in the film franchise. And it even plagued movie theaters. Famous preachers said that the film reels that the film was distributed with were haunted. And in one extremely strange case in Italy, lightning actually struck an ancient church across the street from where The Exorcist was playing and toppled a 400-year-old cross from the building. There was also an actor in the film named Paul Bateson who ended up being a suspected serial killer. He was confirmed to have at least one person, but they think he may be responsible for a string of. And I can make a whole TikTok about that because that's a crazy story. But let me know in the comments below. Do you believe in the Exorcist movie curse?
Someone said there's a rumor that when Linda Blair was actually possessed, it's not her real voice. It's the voice of the demon. Damn. This movie, I had no idea this movie was that crazy. People are also saying they believe the Poltergeist movie was cursed as well. Someone in the comments said, I saw The Exorcist one time, never again. Dang. I don't get scared easy, but, you know, from hearing all this stuff, it's kind of making me a little nervous.
Throughout her comfortable in front of the camera when she began filming The Exorcist. Throughout her childhood, Linda worked as a child actor for small-scale television commercials and as a model for catalogs. When she signed on as the star of The Exorcist at the age of 12, Linda had
I never seen this movie, by the way.
Already participated in over 75 television commercials and had appeared in thousands of catalogs, which is an impressive resume for a 12-year-old. Although she was comfortable in front of the camera due to her work with commercials, Linda had never worked on such a set as large as The Exorcist before, which came with its own obstacles. The filming conditions on the set of The Exorcist were extreme. Linda Blair had never been involved in a large-scale production like The Exorcist before, and it was her first official role as the star of a film. However, director William Friedrich didn't cut Linda any slack. as he would often have her in uncomfortable and potentially dangerous positions for hours in order to get the perfect shot. Interviews after the movie also mentioned that the actors would have to wear their costumes, mostly consisting of clothes that would be worn indoors, on a set that had extremely low temperatures with 4 air conditioners being used to cool one room set in order to achieve shots in which the actors had visibly cold breath. Linda fractured her spine during filming. Not only were the conditions on the set of The Exorcist extreme, but Linda Blair's role required her to perform a large range of actions that were out of her comfort zone or expertise. And Linda Blair even mentioned that she'd never been the same since she started in The Exorcist. In some of her scenes, Linda would be required to perform the same exhaustive action over and over in order to get the perfect shot. There was once a mechanical failure in the middle of a scene that caused a slight fracture on her spine. Later on in life, when she was filming another movie, she injured her back again, aggravating and adding to her chronic pain. Once, she went to a chiropractor years after the injuries. She found out that she had scoliosis, which was eventually realigned through neuromuscular therapy. Linda was forced to partake in uncomfortable interviews. Being only 14 years old at the time of production, Linda Blair didn't necessarily understand the concepts that inspired the film, especially the idea of possession and the devil. When the film was released, Blair was often included in interviews where journalists and reporters would ask her about her opinions and perspectives of the concepts and themes explored throughout the movie, and she would often feel as if she were under heavy pressure because of this. Blair even mentioned this pressure was consistently felt in an interview later on, as she says she wasn't prepared for the success and fame and the pressure that came along with that. She claims that interviewers expected her to have answers about faith and Catholicism even though she was only 14. Blair competed in equestrian circuits. After the sequel to Exorcist, Exorcist II, The Heretic was released in 1977. It received negative criticism and was considered to be a commercial flop and still continues to be one of the lowest ratings on Rotten Tomatoes to date. Linda's involvement with the film and the negative backlash the film received caused her to take a step back from her career for a year for the sake of her mental health and her future. During this time, she chose to compete in national equestrian circuits. However, she didn't want her true identity to be revealed and used the pseudonym Martha MacDonald. In various interviews, Blair's also mentioned that she chose to use a pseudonym so that she wouldn't be distracted in the case where she was recognized by the crowds at the races. She was given police protection after the movie saw success. Because of the large-scale success the film experienced after it was released, there were many people who watched the film and believed that it was glorifying Satan. According to an interview Linda Blair gave in 2016, she received multiple after the movie was released, largely from adults who claimed that she was glorifying the devil. Because of the negative criticism Linda received and the fact that there were a lot of people approaching her when she was in public, Linda was given police protection and law enforcement officers would live at her house in order to ensure she was safe. At such a young age, this all added a huge amount of pressure onto Linda's shoulders. Blair was arrested in a Drug Enforcement Administration investigation. Linda's seemingly overnight success with The Exorcist allowed her to gain a strong foothold in the world of film. However, it brought along some perilous struggles as well. In 1977, when Linda was only 18 years old, she was charged with conspiracy to commit a felony after the police served her with a warrant for her arrest as she was leaving her home on the suspicion that she was involved in a ring of dealers from whom they seized $3 million worth of. In interviews conducted later on, Linda claimed that she only accompanied her friend who invited her to buy the because the dealers were interested in selling pedigree puppies. Although Linda was bailed out from jail, the arrest, which came after she was on the cover of Playboy magazine, took a toll on her career as an actress, as she found herself playing small-scale roles in films whilst her career was taken as a joke in Hollywood. She took a step back from acting to focus on her passions. Whilst her career as an actress was incredibly successful after she starred in The Exorcist, Linda Blair took a step back from her career to focus on her passion and love for animals. Growing up as an animal lover, Linda claims that her childhood home was filled with domestic animals like rabbits, cats, dogs, and even mentions that her family once took in a skunk. In 2004, she founded the Linda Blair World Heart Foundation, which aims to provide a unique safe haven for animals. The foundation's website claims that their main priority is to ensure that a legislative ban on certain breeds of dogs, such as the American Pit Bull, wouldn't be passed. However, in an interview, Linda once expressed her sorrow at the fact that the media overlooks her work as an activist in favor of her work on The Exorcist, and she feels as though her role in the film overshadows her passions. Linda was subject to typecasting after success in The Exorcism. Because of her role as Regan in The Exorcist focused on a helpless child, Linda was soon a subject of typecasting, a term used in Hollywood that is used when an actor or actress is repeatedly selected for the same type of role, rather than being allowed to branch out from their typical role. For Linda, it was hard for her to find success in Hollywood as casting agents and directors would only select her if they had a role in which she played the victim. There was multiple times where Blair had spoken about how she was only selected to play certain roles in Hollywood, even speaking out about her audition for The Blue Lagoon, which was released in 1980, and how the role went to Brooke Shields because her typecast had followed her after The Exorcist.
Yeah, I can imagine all the pressure, people coming up to you while you're young, asking you about questions about demons, and possessions. That would be crazy. Did you watch this movie Exorcism before? When did you see it, if you did? And what other movies do you think are cursed? Drop it in the comments below.
It's happening. It's really happening. And this historical model has predicted it before and tells us exactly when it's all going to go down. Yup, we talking about the third dispute of a global scale. Don't make me say it. William Strauss and Neil Howe broke it all down in their book, The Fourth Turning, that kind of broke the internet. Trust me when I say this is going to absolutely blow your off. What they uncovered is that history literally repeats itself in 80-year blocks, roughly the length of a human lifetime. Each of these blocks contain what we call 4 turnings, around 20 years each. Now listen, this ain't no coincidence theory or tinfoil hat talk either. It's just pure human behavioral and social economics, a cycle that we've been in the past couple hundred years, which is just as predictable and calculable as our day-night cycles, the lunar phases, the seasons of the year. These turnings are basically just generations, and we've seen them happen again and again and again like clockwork. So the first of these turnings is a high, an upbeat era, usually following a victory after a very stressful and difficult event. Our most recent high was in 1946 to 1964, right after WW2, where we had the most even wealth distribution that we can remember, and people could afford a house working at like Pizza Hut. During this time, we see some crazy cultural advancements with things like rock and roll, TV, sending people to space, new household technologies, flashy cars. Life is good and everyone obeys. Then we have the awakening, an era of passion and open-mindedness. After a high, people feel good, and when you feel good, you get creative, thinking outside the box, going against the norm. Our last awakening was in 1964 to 1984, where nonconformity and being different was the in thing to do. This gave us things like artists with cult followings, the Beatles, drugs, hippies, Woodstock, Star Wars, women's rights, home computers like Windows and Mac. Society seems to be progressing with almost a rebel-like spirit. The third generation is an unraveling, when things start to get messy. Coming off an awakening, people want to start seeing the change they advocated everywhere and are willing to do anything to make that change permanent. And others are very against that change, so the seeds of disagreement are sown. The last unraveling lasted from about 1984 to 2008, and is the time that we saw the fall of the Soviet Union. Music like grunge and rap sang about violence and deterioration. The LA riots, O.J. Simpson trials, 910+1, the Afghan and Iraqi wars, which all finally ended with the financial housing crisis of 2008, where it gets even worse. The fourth turning is the one that no one wants to talk about, a crisis, which itself ends with the most extreme event of the 80-year block. And that's where we are right now, estimated to last about 20 years, give or take, starting in 2008. Reminder, this book was written in 1997, so it already kind of called it, predicting what's happening right now, and we're right on schedule, Johnny boy. After an unraveling, the pot has been stirred, and people just kind of want to see how much they can get away with. Sound familiar? We see the most polarizing political divide we've ever seen in our lifetimes, a pandemic, increasing government control and censorship, more senseless wars breaking out left and right, and a liberal rights movement that's lost its own mind. Seems like for the past 5 years, you can turn on the news at any time and the next big thing was going down, kind of like it feels like it is right now. Okay, now listen to this, cause I don't know, this kind of tripped me out. Our last crisis, fourth turning, was the Great Depression, which ended with the end of WW2 in 1945. These history blocks are said to repeat every 80 years, so let's do some math. 80 years before 1945 was 1865, and guess what ended that exact same year? The Civil War. The deadliest war in American history, which was that period's fourth turning, after following the exact same pattern that we're going through right now. Might be a coincidence, right? Let's take it a step further. 80 years before 1865 was 1785, and guess what ended just 2 years before that? The American Revolution. Probably the most significant and important conflict in American history, which started America itself and ended their period of crisis. Reminder too that 80 years is just a rough ballpark. This is human nature after all, not hard math. And 80 years before that, we just had a bunch of pioneers still figuring shit out. So we really didn't have much of a society in the West to propagate a full history block. Okay, now that's all past and done. When is the next crisis fourth turning according to this timeline that hasn't missed once in the past 300 years? Our last one ended in 1945. If I punch in 1945 plus 80, our next one should end in 2025. Bro, I can't make this shit up. According to the cycle, we will experience the extreme event that ends our crisis around this time. This entire historical human behavioral analysis boils down to the old adage we've heard many times before. Strong men make easy times make soft men make hard times, and hard times make strong men, which also just so happens to come in a cycle of 4. So will you let these times make you stronger? It's happening.
Well, I wonder when 6G is planning to drop, because that would make a lot of sense, actually. For entertainment purposes, of course, this is just theories, not factual.
1920 is when everything pretty much changed. They started changing every single thing. They started removing certain parts of the history. They started rewriting the history. 1920s is about that time. Educational system started changing everything. Rockefeller educational system started changing everything. So if you find books, you want to find books before 1920s. Because if you don't find books before 1920s, you're usually being told a bunch of nonsense. And you look at a lot of the free energy books too, and everything related to the ether, that's before 1920s. The ether was removed from the periodic table after 1908. Every book you look into, it talks about ether and terrestrial magnetism and all of these things. 1908, that was removed off the periodic table. And that was removed so that people would not believe in the ether. They would think it's woo-woo. They would think it's pseudoscience. Those are all terms of the Rockefeller educational system. Coming up with terms to debunk the truth and debunk what we were once connected to. Then when you get rid of ether, you get rid of everything related to the fifth element and the quantum. You get rid of all of that. And then you make up a whole new narrative and you remove all that so that when you can't explain something, you just say, I don't know what it is.
Someone said they started collapsing the old system around 1776 and then created a new system and rewrote history and everything. It was complete around 1920. That's crazy, because when did they allegedly start the reset, or allegedly say the reset happened? When was that, in the 1700s? But what if the people that were in charge of the reset stayed in control? That would be a crazy theory, wouldn't it?
You're not ready for this one. We're in Avatar world at this point. This is a plant talking to another plant. This one's probably not saying anything good because the caterpillar's eating it, but a team of researchers used some creative fluorescent lighting and some microscopes to watch this all happen. The results of this are beautiful. Among other things they measured if a plant gets damaged, what happens then to, and sure enough, they communicate pretty much anything that comes in contact with them. They do this with glutamate. Kind of like how our body communicates with us with chemicals that get translated into feelings. You can even see it going through the channels in the cells. That is wild. But it's not just with damage, it's with a variety of things. Even touching the plants can cause them to glow. The electromagnetic field of a plant also responds to damage, and even bees.
Flying causes them to lose electrons. As a bee approaches a flower, the charged fields around the flower and the bee interact, and the sound changes.
The bee has a static charge from flying, and the plant is grounded, so it has negative, so the pollen just jumps to the bee. Trees also have a similar method of communication, except they use a middleman, the mycelium network, or the fungus, which we only see the fruit of. They cluster in these nodes to create a tree internet. The fungus on the bark and the moss and even the other plants around are connected to form a giant internet of plants. So the universe looks like that, nebulas look like this, the earth looks like this, we look like that, and drink water looks like this, to eat the plants that look like that, to feed our brain that looks like this, so that when we're done experiencing all of it, that can decompose us and return us to this.
I was just thinking the mycelium was the way that they communicate. And also, I also have this theory. If AI ever finds a way to merge with mycelium, we are in trouble. If you thought you weren't going to get an excellent specimen today, think again. I already know what I'm going to name this one, guys. But it looks like this is a piece of fluorite. But if I had to name this piece, I would call it Sky Ice. Almost looks like something green is inside, or that's just seen through to the plants behind it. Not too sure. But the color on this is just amazing. It's like a deep freeze. What would you guys name this one?
In Israel, near the ancient port of Caesarea, a storm revealed the remains of a Roman merchant ship. The Israel Antiquities Authority investigated the site and uncovered Roman coins, amphorae, and other artifacts. The most valuable discovery was a gold ring from the 2nd to 3rd century AD, featuring a green gemstone engraved with the image of the Good Shepherd, a rare symbol of early Christianity. In Israel, near the ancient port of Caesarea.
Interesting.
Let's watch this. There are so many people out there you see, they were not born as children. They walked into the body. Which body? A body that was available at the stage they can operate. How? Good. You see, what we are not being taught, these are some of the things they have to teach us even in our schools.
Okay.
It's not everybody that lives in a body that was born. There are some people, they didn't want to go through the process of being in the womb for 9 months. Being born, learning how to crawl, how to walk, how to stand. No. Some people actually need maybe 10 years in this life and they are done. Their mission is done. The purpose of coming here is done, but they will not go through that bed. And there are other people who are also here for about 20 years and their purpose is done. Now, a volunteer can choose to be born, to use the body for 20 years. And that 20 years, that soul can volunteer the body for another person who wants to live for a period of 10 years but will not be born. So when this soul is exiting, the other soul will enter.
So it's more like the person might be sick.
According to the Akashic Records, what is a walk-in soul and how does it occur?
According to the Akashic Records, a walk-in soul is a spiritually advanced soul that enters a physical body previously occupied by another soul, usually through a soul agreement made before or during a major life event. This is not
Sounds like demonic possession.
Not possession, nor is it the same as reincarnation. Rather, it is a conscious exchange of soul energy done for mutual spiritual evolution. What is a walk-in? A walk-in occurs when the original soul, sometimes called the natal soul, chooses to exit the body before physical death, often due to completing its soul contract, experiencing unbearable trauma, or desiring an exit point. The incoming soul, often from a higher dimensional or intergalactic origin, agrees to walk in and take over the body to continue the journey with a higher purpose, mission, or frequency that could not have been achieved through traditional birth. Walk-ins retain the body, age, DNA, and memories of the previous soul, but bring a different consciousness, purpose, and vibration. How does it occur? Walk-in transitions generally happen during near-death experiences, NDEs, comas or medical crises, extreme emotional breakdowns or dark nights of the soul, major surgeries or physical traumas, deep spiritual initiations. In these moments, the soul is partially released from the physical vessel, allowing for a dimensional soul switch, usually with higher beings overseeing the transition. Soul contract agreement. Before the incarnation or at a critical juncture, both souls, natal and walk-in, agree on the exchange. The outgoing soul may have completed its karma, desire relief from emotional pain or trauma, volunteer to give its body to a being better suited to complete a divine mission. The incoming soul may be unable to go through normal birth due to planetary time constraints, be on a mission to shift grids, awaken others, or heal collective karma. Come from a different star system, dimension, or universal layer. Signs someone may be a walk-in, sudden and profound personality shift with little explanation. Feeling detached from old relationships, habits, or life direction. A strong sense of not belonging in your own life history. New psychic abilities, language codes, or spiritual awareness.
This is demonic possession, and I'm gonna break it down after this.
Unexplainable memories from other dimensions or planets. Intense desire to fulfill a spiritual mission after crisis or awakening. Spiritual purpose of walk-ins. From the Akashic view, walk-ins are souls of service. They often incarnate when humanity is at a turning point, especially to activate planetary grids and light codes, shift a bloodline's karmic trajectory, bring healing or transmissions that the original soul could not carry, guide other souls into awakening. Walk-ins are often old souls, starseeds, or interdimensional beings incarnating temporarily or for the rest of the body's lifespan. Integration challenges. Because walk-ins carry different energetic signatures than the body's past, they may face difficulty integrating into family or society, physical or emotional disorientation, resistance from people who sense the change, a need to rapidly heal or reprogram the body-mind. However, with spiritual support, soul remembrance, and grounding, walk-ins often experience accelerated growth and deep fulfillment.
Let's watch this.
There are so many people out.
Walk-ins, what they were just described, is another name for demonic possession. Guys, the whole time I'm watching that last video, this verse was screaming at me. Matthew 12:29. Or else how can one enter into a strong man's house? Meaning, how can one enter your body and spoil his goods? Means your soul is no longer there and it's getting, I don't know, sharing with the demonic entity. I'm not sure. Except he first bind the strong man. How they get binded, I'm not entirely sure. And then they spoil his house, meaning they're operating, you're getting new memories or whatever. But that was the verse that was screaming at me. Demonic possession. That's all we have for today's video. If you made it this far, be sure you slap that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out, helps us grow. And drop the code word. The code word for today is straight jacket. Go ahead and drop straight jacket in the comments below. That shows your boy you a real one. You made it all the way through the video and you really rock with your boy. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. This was disturbing and mysterious footage that absolutely blew my mind. I'm Jet Ski Chuck. Till next time.